This is Jonathan Aguilar, fifth Pro Boxing Fans, joined by journalist Dan Rafael. On the Manny Pacquiao fight, I know that you had Manny winning quite widely on the night. Since then, there hasn't been much talk about what's next. Are you hearing anything from either side on what could be next?
Well, only the fact that and reiterating what Manny said at the news conference and the aftermath of the fight is that he's absolutely going to continue with his career. He will fight again. My understanding from folks that have been around Manny is that nothing's done or signed or said or anything like that. But if things work out the way they hope that they'll work out, is that he'll be back in the ring probably in like December-ish, fight one more time this year, and now it's just a matter of who can they fight. I kind of get the feeling that it won't be a Barrios rematch, and I'm not frankly that disappointed about that because while it was a good fight, it wasn't a great fight, and I feel like Manny definitely won the fight. So there are bigger names out there. So one of the possibilities that there's been chatter about, I don't know how real it is Rolly Romero to challenge for the WBA belt. It's all things considered, not the hardest fight to make since he's also involved with PBC. That seems like a pretty decent possibility. I would say, and this is just my conjecture, so I'm not like hearing anything, so to speak. But a fight that would be a big deal, and I say this because my understanding about the Barrios fight is it did not do very well in terms of the pay-per-view. But that if they want to make a truly big event that would probably do much, much better on pay-per-view, a guy who doesn't have anything set at the moment for a lot of reasons, and that's Tank Davis against Pacquiao. Because the Lamont Roach fight seems dead in the water in terms of that rematch. Now, I don't know what Tank's situation is going to be in terms of his legal situation or his desire to fight again. Who the heck knows? But if he did, to me, that's a big fight that they could make because Pacquiao is a small welterweight, and he and his team have said numerous times, they could fight at a lower weight than 147. Tank has fought previously once before against Barrios, who he knocked out at 140. And if you're looking to make a big event, there's no reason why they couldn't do a fight like that at a catch weight, do it at 100 and whatever, 42, 43, something like that. And maybe it wouldn't be for a world title, but it would be a pretty big event. And I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
Next
But
week,
that's it. Just to be clear, I don't want people like saying headlines like Rafael says Pacquiao and Tank is happening. I'm just saying conjecture wise, if you were trying to make a Manny fight or a Tank fight for that matter, and it's not Roach and it's not a Barrios rematch, what would make sense? And that seems a fight that could make a lot of sense in terms of the business for sure.
yeah. Next week in Riyadh, Moses Itauma steps into what could be an interesting fight against Dillian Whyte. Most people believe that Itauma's going to pass this test with flying colours. Do you believe that as well?
I do. All respect for Dillian Whyte. He's been a good fighter for a very long time. He's fought everybody. But there comes a time where there is a passing of the torch, if you will. Itauma is ready to take the step up. And it's not like Dillian is a completely shot guy or can't fight anymore. He can barely, walk up the steps into the ring. But I just feel like when you're the age and the speed and the power and all the things that Itauma has going for him, and Dillian hasn't looked great in recent fights, hasn't been the most active guy, that this is the crossroads. I mean, it's a kind of cliche, I guess, in boxing, but it fits the picture. You have, an old warhorse veteran that's fought everybody, kind of hanging on, trying to get one more big shot, and you got the stud of young fighters in terms of the heavyweights on the rise, and the rubber's going to hit the road in Riyadh. And I feel like absolutely Itauma, if he's prepared physically and mentally, he could get Dillian Whyte out of there pretty brutally.
Now, the WBO obviously ordered Usyk to defend his title against interim champion Joseph Parker. I believe they have 30 days to sort out a deal. What's your gut instinct here? Because the feeling is that if Italma beats White and Usyk vacates, then they'll order Parker against Moses Itauma. Do you believe that an Usyk Parker fight will happen, or do you believe that we might see Parker versus Itauma for the vacant title?
I think either of those scenarios are possible. I would like to hope that when Usyk fought the rematch against Dubois to become undisputed, part of the reason he did so was because he was not happy about being stripped of the IBF title or basically being forced to vacate it, whichever way you want to look at it, because he had won it in the ring against Tyson Fury, and for reasons that were out of his control, he sort of didn't have a choice because he had this contract already in existence to do the rematch against Fury that was worth crazy amounts of money. And so, of course, he was going to follow through on that. So he was forced to give up the IBF belt. So he's not forced to give up the IBF belt or the WBO belt or the WBC or the WBA or any of the belts now. He is the undisputed champion. And you know what? He should fight the number one contender, not just the number one contender, but the do mandatory against a quality fighter. There is no fighter in the heavyweight division currently that warrants a world championship opportunity, particularly for the undisputed crown, than Joseph Parker. And I listen to people or read things, it should be this guy, it should be that guy. It's all mental gymnastics. There's not even like a plausible argument that you could make for any other heavyweight in the division that would be more worthy and deserving of the chance to fight for the title than Joseph Parker. He is the due mandatory. He's the former WBO champion. He has waited his turn. He has been very active. He has won fights not just against nobodies, but against quality opponents in that busy stage of fights he's been in. He's beaten the fighters like Zhang, and he's beaten fighters like Deontay Wilder. I mean, he just knocked out Martin Bacoli. I mean, what do you want the guy to do? So, all respect to Moses Itauma, even if he beats Dillian Whyte, I don't necessarily think he's warrants a title shot yet, especially not ahead of Joseph Parker. Give me a break. I mean, Parker is without question the number one contender, not only by the organizations, but based on or by the WBO, but based on what he's actually accomplished in the ring in the last, year and a half. So he should get the opportunity. He's also, by the way, you take that fight between Usyk and Parker because of the popularity that Usyk has generated in the United Kingdom and the fact that Parker is a very well-known fighter in the UK as well. You could put that there, and I don't know if you're going to sell out Wembley Stadium on a fight like that, but you can sell out any arena, in the country, probably, maybe not necessarily a stadium, but you could maybe put it in a smaller stadium, or you could, take it to Europe and do what they did with the Dubois #1 fight with Usyk and put it in a stadium in Poland, which is close to the Ukrainian border where Usyk would draw a large crowd. My point is, there's nobody that can say that fight shouldn't happen because of economic reasons. Sometimes fights, it may be a mandatory, but there's no real economic benefit in the fight. That's not the case. Usyk against Parker is a fight that will generate money for everybody, and it's the fight that should absolutely happen. And I'm tired of hearing everybody else mentioned except for Joseph Parker when he's the guy that did the job. I feel like I should be his fucking publicist at this point, but he deserves the shot more than anybody.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can argue with that. Lastly, Dan, barely believable fight probably 6 months ago or even less. But Eddie Hearn said that he has held talks with Nikisa Bidarian about a fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. I believe he said it's 50-50 whether it's going to happen. Do you honestly believe that that will materialize, that will get signed?
I have no way of knowing for sure. Knowing it's not like Nikisa and Eddie pick up the phone and tell me what their particulars are. I'll say this: if they make the match, a couple things about it. It'll be a big event, no doubt about it, and it will cause all kinds of headlines around the world. And it's also essentially like a Jake Paul death sentence because even a diminished Anthony Joshua, and he is diminished, don't make any mistake about that, but he's still a pretty good heavyweight. It's such a mismatch in my mind. I would if Jake Paul, God bless him for being willing to do it, for making big events and trying to take the opportunity and obviously cashing in with the financial end of things. But for an idea of what could happen to him physically, just take 5 seconds and go look at the ending of the fight between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. That's the kind of fight we're talking about. It's all fun and games till you're in there with a real guy. And Jake Paul, who I have never had anything but respect for what he's been trying to do, and I get it, and I've sort of enjoyed his fights. My son sort of likes his act, his the whole act. Anthony Joshua is a legitimate professional heavyweight championship level fighter. Maybe not what he once was, but could devastate Jake Paul whenever he decides to devastate Jake Paul.
Hmm.
So I would say this: if they make that match and they go and they put it on like pay-per-view, buyer beware.
Fair enough. Dan, we'll leave it there. A rare weekend without boxing this weekend, I believe, unless there's a show that I'm missing out on, anything major. But yeah, enjoy your weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.
Nothing wrong with a summer weekend without the fights once in a while. I love to have boxing, but every now and again, a little break is nice.
That's
So
it.
it's good good chatting, and hopefully I'll see you. I don't know if you're going to be coming out to Canelo and Crawford in September, but if you do, I look forward to seeing you out there.
Yep. Hopefully see you there. Appreciate it, Dan.
You bet, Jonathan.